Welcome back to Ill Blur Matted. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's new episode review is going to be a Moonknight, but before that, welcome back, subscribers, returning subscribers. Thank you so much for returning. New subscribers, welcome to the channel. Let's get right into episode 6 of Moonknight, one of my new favorite shows on the Disney Plus app. Episode 6, Gods and Monsters. So this episode starts off with Arthur saying his goodbyes to pretty much Stephen Grant and also Mark Spector. Because remember, they share one body, they have multiple personalities in that one body. I like that Arthur kind of has some empathy for him to some degree. It was like, okay, I get it. He didn't necessarily care for him because he wanted Kanju back from him. But we saw like more so him literally pretty much have some type of empathy for him. So I did like that aspect of it. We also see the disciples are there with him, his actual disciples. Also, who's hiding in the tomb is Layla. Layla almost got her cover blown by one of Arthur's disciples, but she didn't. But also, before Arthur left the tomb, he was able to get Aminet's statue. So apparently it looks like her statue was what Stephen Grant found a few episodes ago of Moonknight. So that's how it starts off. Also, after pretty much Arthur leaves the tomb, we see Layla having a grieving moment, meaning that she feels like she's angry because Mark left. You know what I'm saying? But it was unexpected because pretty much, and also Stephen Grant, because they protected her from Arthur. We see her upset, you know what I'm saying? It seems like she starting to appreciate her husband a little bit more due to learning about him having these multiple personalities. First, she, prior to this, she thought it was all nonsense, because she probably thought he was like, oh, he's a liar, da da da. But it seems like she's grown fond of both personalities is what I see in this episode. So let's talk about the next part of this episode. We see Layla literally disguise herself as one of Arthur's disciples. Layla had an opportunity to literally kill Mark at the border, because that's where they're going to be at the border. Arthur gets out, he stops the border patrol from doing certain things, for shooting them and all this stuff. He's like, hey, y'all ain't got to do all that. And we see when Layla tries to attempt to kill Arthur, she is stopped by one of the other border patrol officers that seems to be controlled by another avatar, is what I'm getting at. I was like, oh. Because he's like, hey, you don't want to do this, da-da-da, your daddy, da-da. So I was like, So we do get that aspect of it. I did like that we saw, like I said, Layla having a moment where she had the opportunity, but she didn't shoot her shot. So that works out. Now, let's talk about the next thing with this episode. We see literally Arthur making it to the actual pyramid in order to summon Aminet. He fights the guys. His people are there with him, his disciples. And also, we see him summoning Aminet. Now, here's the interesting aspect of this episode. We see Layla finding, the actual Kanju's actual statue and summoning it. And I love how Kanju said, oh, you can be my new avatar. Layla like, no, you're not going to be my new avatar. And the reason for that, Layla said, I don't trust you. If Mark Spector, my husband, didn't trust you, what makes you think I'm going to trust you? So we see that. And we also see that the guys know each other. We see Aminet and pretty much Kanju speaking to one another. Also, we see Arthur showing his gratitude before the fight to Aminet and everything, and saying, hey, I got all these other disciples across the globe. I'm loyal to you, even though I've sinned all this time. Because she said, hey, these scales ain't balanced, bro. Look, Aminet let him know, like, these scales are not balanced. The guy, she like, But we see her having a loyalty for Arthur because he is the one that summoned her from the actual statue. So there's a loyalty and an alliance to Arthur despite that. But also we see Kanju and her duke it out. Kanju getting his butt whooped a couple times. I like that we saw them tussle, the god and goddesses tussle. I was like, oh, okay. Really like that we saw that in this episode. You know what I'm saying, between the two. So that was really cool. Also in this episode, we see pretty much Mark. When he's in the afterlife, he's happier, he's at peace. There's only one heart, pretty much. But he feels incomplete. You know what I'm saying? He seems like he's lost without Stephen Grant. You know what I'm saying? And we see him leave the field, this wheat field that he's at. And we see pretty much the hippopotamus guys before he leaves the wheat field. She's like, you sure you want to do this? There may not be another way to get out of here. You know what I'm saying? Type of thing. We see him go back to rescue Stephen Grant out of the sand. And what does he do? He talks to him. And also he shares the heart. He gives him the heart. And then he reanimates back to life. But before that, the sand is pretty much just going to, like, a tide of sand is coming, or a wave of sand is coming. And we literally see Stephen Grant and pretty much Mark Spector being glad to see one another again. And also realizing they have to escape back out of this afterlife. Because if they don't, Arthur is going to win this battle pretty much. And we see pretty much Stephen Grant, coming out of the water, no bullets on him or anything, unscathed. And I really like that they showed that. I was like, oh, wow. I said, that was good they showed that. But also, we see pretty much him and Kanju reuniting. You know what I'm saying? And we see him, Kanju, changing the time back from from day to night. And we also see the encounter. What I love about the encounter, let me just talk about this. Arthur versus Moon Knight, and also Mr. Knight, and also Layla and her newfound power. I think, let me just talk about this briefly. She gets her power in the tomb as well. And she's like this new, they call her Scarlet Scarab. I had to look that up because I was like, I'm like, who is she? So we see them fighting. And what I liked about it was the fighting choreography flowed really well. We see Layla get some action in this episode, fighting along her husband. We see Mr. Knight tagging Arthur up with fighting moves and stuff. We also see Moonknight. And we also see them literally fighting the disciples as well. So there's not just them fighting Arthur, they're fighting his disciples as well. Well shot. I gotta admit, for this to be a fight scene where they're, literally fighting his disciples, the transition between Mr. Moonknight and Moonknight, that really worked well for this episode. I can't even lie. I was like, wow. But also in this episode, we see Arthur almost succeeding, killing Moonknight. You know what I'm saying? We see him put the staff that he had, that he usually used, and he thought he killed Moonknight, but that wasn't the case. We also see Kanju and Aminette fighting in the backgrounds, like Godzilla type of thing. I was like, ooh. I said, boy, man. I said, they fighting, Kanju fighting. And I like that Layla's costume was really cool, man. I was like, man, it was a cool costume. She used her little wings. She was fighting and stuff. I was like, man. But what happened is now that is pretty much Arthur did not defeat Moonknight. Kanju ends up beating Aminette. But in order for that to happen, Layla found out in the tomb from one of the other people that had an avatar, pretty much that literally they have to go back to the tomb, and they did a chant, an actual chant of an enchantment. And pretty much Aminette was sealed back. You know what I'm saying? And we also see Arthur pretty much like in distraught. But also in this episode, we have a moment where Mark had a change of heart. Originally he was going to kill Arthur. That wasn't the case. Layla's like, you sure you want to do this? Kanju's he's like, you got to change how you don't want to kill him. You know what I'm saying? We see pretty much Mark having some empathy for him, but also we see pretty much what happens. So what happens pretty much literally, we see Kanju show what's going on, and we see back in this other afterlife literally, and we see pretty much Arthur's there, and also Mark is there, and literally he said, hey, is this real, is this fake type of thing, at this actual pretty much ward, the psychiatric ward and stuff. And then after that, it goes back to like maybe things had changed where Kanju pretty much shows pretty much, I guess, him not being Moon Knight anymore. And he goes back to his regular life, dealing with these multiple personalities. And that's how it ends. I gotta say, this episode's a bit disappointing. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. There were some things like with Layla. They didn't really explain how she got her power. You just found out through another corpse, like talking to her from Avatar and stuff. I felt like this episode could have been longer. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I was like, this could have been longer. You could have been like a 1 hour episode. I felt like the pieces of the puzzle was missing. I felt like we should have had a backstory on Arthur. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I was like, no, if we had a backstory on this character, this could work. But this episode, it was just too short. It had its highlights, like I said, with the fighting choreography and the build up with Kanju versus Aminette. That was really cool too, by the way. But it was a little disappointing. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I think Disney could have stretched this episode, you know what I'm saying, to a 1 hour episode. I felt like, man, like it could have been like so much more to it than they could have did with it. But there is pretty much a scene, an end credit that's a little confusing, so I'm not gonna explain that until I might do a video on it. But this is your boy Blurmatic, guys. Thanks for watching, thanks for commenting, thanks for supporting. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? And also, I want to thank each and every person that has checked out the channel. And also, my real MVPs, thank you so much. Until next time, guys, have a great day. And I'm out.